Welcome to Vermont Today. I'm Terry Jeroloman, and my co-host for this episode is Anjou-Marie Whelan. We're going to talk about the MayDay 2013 demonstrations in Montpelier. We were both there, and we have quite a bit of video that we took during the day, and we're going to introduce each segment of the video and have a little discussion of it before we show each segment. The program began at 11:30 Wednesday morning, and the first thing was a parade. And in previous years, the parade started at the town hall in Montpelier and marched up to the Statehouse where they had the demonstration. But this year it was a little different. The parade started at the Statehouse, marched into town, and then back again. What did you think of the parade, Anjou?
Oh, the parade was fabulous. You know, it was a beautiful day. It was very sunny, and we had many different organizations representing themselves there that day. I thought there was a large amount of people that turned out also for the parade. This was the first time that you were in Montpelier for MayDay, isn't it? Yes, that's the first time I'd been to Montpelier for MayDay, and also the first time I'd seen the state capitol inside and out. I've been there, this was my 5th year, I think. The 4 previous years, the theme of the demonstration was healthcare as a human right. But this year, because the healthcare bill has been passed and that program seems to be on track, the theme was put people first, which also includes healthcare, but it includes many other things, like, for instance, the end-of-life choice bill, which was being debated in the legislature at the same time that we were there for the demonstration. Shall we show our audience some of the footage that we took of the parade? Yes, that's going to be the start of it, and then we'll segue into the puppet show, I believe, after. And also the demonstration on the Statehouse steps. We have a lot for you, so stay tuned. But here's the parade.
As you can see from the video, people coming back from the parade were directed up to the Statehouse steps, and large signs like the one behind us were placed in front of people, and behind everyone there was a lectern for speakers, and we positioned our camera in front of everyone and photographed and recorded some of the speech. Unfortunately, there weren't as many people here this year as there have been in past years. I suspect that that's because people are satisfied with that the healthcare as a human right is progressing as they want, and the Put People First theme has perhaps diluted the politics a little bit. But anyway, as you can see, there was a big turnout, and the speeches were very inspiring. What did you think, Anjou?
I agree with you, Terry. The speeches were great. I mean, people are very impassioned about what they want to see, and there's a lot of people there who actually spoke up and felt that they wanted more of their human rights, which included health care for everyone. And we didn't see so many of the legislatures coming out. In past years, this was happening about 12:30, and this is a normal lunch break for the legislature. So in past years, the senators and the representatives have come out and addressed the crowd, but they didn't do it this year. Did you notice that, Anjou, that there weren't any legislators speaking? I agree. I was surprised. I mean, I was waiting for them to come out on the steps and address the people who were there to speak to them and demonstrate. And later we found out why they didn't come out, which was interesting.
Yeah, they worked right through their lunch break. Mm-hmm. And I guess they wanted to end the session on time. And the end-of-life choice bill, which I firmly support, was debated until 11:30 on Tuesday night, and almost all day, well, all morning they were talking about it in the House on Wednesday. So this unfortunately prevented them from coming out and addressing the demonstration. I don't know if the timing could have been different, but in any event, they will be able to watch it on TV. So now we'll show you the footage of the people on these steps and some of the speeches.
We're going to do a big group photo if y'all want to get up in it over here. All right.
I think somebody should start talking to them.
Natalia's got the mic.
All the way up, group picture.
Hey Sam, do you have some page stuff? Everybody keep moving back! Good, everyone. You good, Matt?
Yeah. No banners?
Yeah, one with no pin. I think we shouldn't. It's too much.
It's too much, yeah.
Oh, come on. Let's just. No, okay. All right. All right, we're done. You want to just try it? Okay. How do we let him know?
Just let them stand there. We get the idea.
All right, we're good.
Woo! Woo! We're good.
Yeah.
So we can see all of your wonderful faces in a photo. I'm hearing a lot of no's.
All right, folks, so we want to do one last picture with the Put People First banner and your beautiful faces. So can we please put the other banners down for one beautiful photo? Queremos hacer una foto con el mural del pueblo primero, entonces por favor, por un momento, si queremos bajar los otros avisos, hacemos una última foto y continuamos. Gracias. So can we please just put down all the other banners for this one photo? Thank you.
Very good.
So how many of you are joining with us for the first time today? Let me hear you. Wow. And how many of you have been here more than once? How many of you are here to put the planet and the people first? This is our movement. Let's celebrate how much we've grown, how powerful we are, and the victories we are about to win. Disability, and I'm the director of the Vermont Center for Independent Living. I've struggled to fit in a world that did not accept me for who I am. I've been locked up in institutions, medicated to help me fit into society, fired from a job, and kicked out of college because of my diagnosis. How many of you felt that way before? You don't fit in because you can't walk, or the color of your skin, or you love someone who is of the same sex, or because of your gender. How many of you have felt like the system wasn't set up for you to thrive as a human being? Like the system doesn't put people first. How many of you have lived in fear that someone will assault you? You will lose your job or have your children be taken away from you. I felt that way as a survivor, as a woman with a disability, and as a mother. These fears come from barriers put in front of us by those who have power. We have a long road ahead and we are on our way. We are organizing, we are growing in numbers and in power, and we are realizing our full human rights. Since signing our commitment to the Human Rights Declaration back in August, the People's Convention, we stand in solidarity on issues that impact us all. We are celebrating victories today. Today, a bill that gives workers, providers of home and community services, who are often undervalued, the same rights that all workers deserve to organize. This bill also has strong language to include the voices of people with disabilities to direct those services, recognizing the interconnectedness of all of our rights.
She's right in front of that.
This is a victory for the Put People First.
Now we're going to go inside the legislative chamber and see what's been happening in there and preventing the legislatures from coming out
and addressing the crowd the large crowd that's been here for MayDay. You'll be able to see the process of the debate around the end-of-life choice bill. This is a very important bill. Many people at the end of life die in extreme pain, and it's not right that our loved ones should have to be subjected to torture at the end of their lives. And this bill will allow people who know that they're terminally ill and who have a diagnosis that they can't live more than 6 months to be prescribed a lethal medication from their doctor. And they'll have that as a security blanket. And if their pain gets too great, they can take it and end their life before they have to be subjected to extreme pain. Some diseases just are not amenable to painkillers. For instance, bone cancer, no matter how much painkiller the doctor gives you, you're still going to be in pain unless you're totally unconscious. And then when you wake up, you're going to be in pain. So this is a very important bill, and I'm glad that the legislature remained in session to debate it, even though it prevented people from meeting their legislature during the demonstration. So Andrew, we both went inside and sat in the House chamber and filmed some of the proceedings. What was your impression coming there for the first time?
It was very interesting. You know, I'd never seen the inner mechanism of how they try to pass these bills, and it was quite an education for me. You know, I could see how hard everyone was working to pass it, but I also experienced what a slow-moving process it appeared to be.
The body was overwhelmingly in favor of the bill. At one point, there was a vote of 90 to 60 in favor of the bill. But nevertheless, different House members introduced amendments. There was one amendment after another, and there were ridiculous amendments by people who were opposed to the bill and just introduced to delay the bill. And it was so frustrating. Didn't you find it frustrating, Anjou?
I found it extremely frustrating, and in this day and age, I didn't understand why they couldn't streamline that process. It also seemed like a lot of the information they were dispersing seemed just unnecessary. It just, at one point, I think they were just dragging it out to try and wind the clock down. So I felt that was a waste of time and extremely frustrating. And just get to the vote, pass it or don't pass it, but resolve it, don't drag it out.
But fortunately, before the end of the day, they did pass the bill, and now it goes to back to the Senate, which has already passed the bill in a different form, and the two houses will have to work out some sort of compromise. I'm hoping that they will be able to do that before the end of the legislative session. Well, one nice thing was that in the Vermont legislature, it's the people's house, and just we as ordinary Vermonters were able to go into the chamber, and in the very front of the chamber there's a row of very comfortable chairs. They're even more comfortable than the chairs that the House members sit in, and we were allowed to sit in those chairs, and we had a lovely view of everything, and we had our camera, and so we took the pictures you're going to see in just a minute. But Anjou, what did you think about our seating?
Oh, they were like mini thrones. But it was also interesting that some of the representatives came up and sat next to us because those chairs were more comfortable. And that was interesting. We got to dialogue a little bit with some of the representatives also off camera.
Yeah, I thought that was really special too. I think it's only in Vermont that you would be able to be so close to the legislative process. All right, let's look at some of the video that we recorded in the House chamber.
Over 144,000 citizens, 68 years of age and older. And whereas our state is 101% increase in the number of Americans 60 years of age and older who are employed. And whereas recognizing the successes at work or as retirees of older Vermonters encourages their continuing community participation and spurs further accomplishments. And whereas local communities can provide opportunities enabling older citizens to continue flourishing by emphasizing the importance of their leadership and publicly recognizing their continuing achievements. And whereas presenting opportunities for older Americans to share their wisdom and experience has enormous societal benefits and recognizes these Vermonters as a valuable asset in strengthening and enriching our communities. Now therefore be it resolved by the Senate House of Representatives that the General Assembly designates May as Older American Month in Vermont. And be it further resolved that the Secretary of State be directed to send a copy of this resolution to the Vermont Association of Area Agencies on Aging Incorporated in Barre, Vermont.
Okay, further reading of the resolution, the question is, shall the House adopt the resolution on its part? Are you ready for that question? So all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Those nay. The ayes have it. The ayes have it. We adopt the HCR 139. HCR 140 is House concurrent resolution designating May 1, 2013 as Poverty Awareness Day in Vermont, offered by Representative Stewart, McDowell, and others. Please listen to the reading of the resolution.
Whereas according to U.S. Census Bureau's 2011 poverty data from its American Community Survey, 69,075 Vermonters, representing 12% of the state's population, were living in poverty. And whereas the nonpartisan organization Spotlight on Poverty and Opportunity reported that in Vermont, 15% of children and 11% of seniors live in poverty, and 29% of single-parent families with related children are below the federal poverty level. And whereas 4.9% of Vermonters live in extreme poverty, and whereas according to the Vermont Department of Taxes, an individual earning $20,000 to $25,000 experienced a loss of adjusted gross income of 13.3% between 2001 and 2011, while the comparable figure for persons earning $75,000 to $100,000 was a gain of 51.9%. And whereas as reported in the Montpelier Times-Argus, the National Low-Income Housing Coalition and the Vermont Affordable Housing Coalition recently released a report, Out of Reach 2013, which estimated that 63% of Vermont renters cannot afford $964 in monthly fair market price for a two-bedroom apartment. And whereas Vermont's childhood poverty rate has increased 50% during the past decade. And whereas according to Hunger Free Vermont, 13% of all Vermont households are food insecure. 22% of the state's children under age 18 live in food insecure households, and 12,290 Vermont children depend on food shelves each month. And whereas individuals who are dedicated to reducing and ultimately eliminating poverty in Vermont are gathered at the Statehouse today, May 1st, 2013, to inform legislators about the existence and ramifications of poverty in Vermont. Now therefore be it resolved by the Senate House of Representatives that the General Assembly designates May 1st, 2013 as Poverty Awareness Day in Vermont. And be it further resolved that the Secretary of State be directed to send a copy of this resolution to the Lake Champlain Regional Chamber of Commerce, the Vermont Chamber of Commerce, the Vermont Business Roundtable, and Vermont Businesses for Social Responsibility.
Okay, further reading of the resolution, the question is, shall the House adopt the resolution on its part? Are you ready for that question? If so,
I think I'll photograph this Senate chamber too.
Aye.
I'm here in the Old North End of Burlington, Ward 3, with our representative, Curt McCormack. Curt, your district is 3-3, right?
Yes.
Ward 3 is the principal part of that, but it also includes parts of Ward 2.
Actually, the district is 6.4, or 6-3.
6-3, right. I should remember that, having been a former ward clerk, but it's been a couple of years. We were all in Montpelier for the MayDay demonstrations just a little while ago, and you were there in the chamber while we were photographing part of the debate. They were debating at that time the the end-of-life choice bill. And all of the demonstrators were out in front. In past years for the May Day demonstration, the legislators have come out and addressed the demonstrators. But this time, everybody, they worked right through the lunch hour. And so the legislators weren't able to come out and talk to the people. But would you like to say something about what was going on with the bill? And I believe that while we were there, Curt Wright was introducing an amendment.
Well, a lot of things were going on. There were a number of amendments offered, and it was a difficult bill. It's one of those bills that it's not partisan. People feel strongly on both sides. There were a lot of personal stories. Legislature is different for me. That's one of the things that are different nowadays than in the old days. There's a lot of personal stories, which is not always the best thing for debate, in my view. And that bill lent itself to that big time. So we had a lot of stories of people who had loved ones deceased and talked about that experience. Those experiences were like, and they informed their decision on how to vote on it. I'm a supporter of it. Curt Wright's amendment was an interesting one, a challenging one to some people, but not to me. His amendment would have created a referendum statewide on just this question. And that may sound sensible. Why not have all the people vote on it and speak with you? Legislature could be informed by that. But we're informed by people's points of view and all the other matters. And when you put a referendum out there, if you look at other states that have that in their constitution, California, Maine, Massachusetts are three that come to mind, they get down to a short race with one question that's all in the media. So it's whoever raises the most amount of money is usually the decider of the vote. And I really dislike that. It's one of the reasons I voted against the campaign finance bill the other day. I don't like when spending gets so high, because the winner can be the person who raises the most amount of money. And I think, ironically, I think the Supreme Court made a mistake. I think that if you and I are running against each other for office, the same office, and you're able to raise, say, twice as much money as I am, it's my freedom of speech that gets curtailed by that, not yours if we limit it. In other words, if you're allowed to raise, let's just say for the sake of discussion, $10,000 for a house race, which is about what I raised, and I raised the least of the four of us in all the lawsuits. If we limit that to $10,000, the court says you can't do that because your freedom of speech is being curtailed. But if you raise more than I do, then it's my freedom of speech that's curtailed, because I can't advertise as much as you and do all those things that money buys in an election. So I'd rather have our elections just be as inexpensive as possible. And it's the same thing with Curt Wright's. We have the same first name, Curt Wright.
Yes. I think he spells it with a K, though.
He does, and I'm a C. But we have very different politics, so that's why I do like to make the distinction, which I'm sure he does as well. So his amendment may sound sensible, but to me it wasn't. And we certainly know how people feel. I think on that particular bill I probably received at least 20 emails and telephone calls.
I agree with you about campaign finance. The principle of democracy is one person, one vote. But now in America, it's become $1, one vote. And I think that's very wrong. But Curt Wright's amendment, there were so many amendments there, and I think there was something like 30 amendments. And the chamber debated on Tuesday until 11:30 at night, and then again on the people that were against the bill seemed to just try to wear it down. And none of the amendments passed. There was an overwhelming majority in favor of the bill. I believe at one point it was 90 to 60 in favor, and or against the amendments. But Curt's proposal to put it on the ballot, that would have thrown out. I sat in the Senate chamber for 2 whole days listening to the debate, and there were testimonies. Public had an opportunity to testify before the 2 committees. First for the Senate and then again for the House, and that was another 2 days of work. And then there were 2 days of work in the House of debate with the amendments. And all that would have been wasted if Curt's amendment had passed. So even though Curt didn't specifically say he was opposed to the bill, it was a very negative thing which he did, and I was disappointed in him. But how has it been going in the House generally? I understand that on Wednesday night we finally passed the bill. What are the prospects now for it?
I actually don't know its status. I know it was debated in the Senate. A bill goes back and forth. If there's changes, if the second body, if the House takes a Senate bill that's passed the Senate and makes no changes and then passes it, it goes directly to the governor. It's finished, but we seldom do that. The House usually has a change to the Senate bill and vice versa. So this bill was very much changed in the House, and I think very much improved. I think we really did respond to the critics of it and put in a lot of safeguards, as you know. It's quite a process, a lot of checks before somebody can have physician-assisted suicide. Those questions have to be looked at by the Senate, and they were being looked at. And I actually don't know exactly where we are on it, but I believe I believe they reached a compromise in the Senate and agree with it. And it may have actually passed already. By the time this airs, it will be passed. I think as of now, I think it might actually be passed. I think it's going well. It's going to pass.
So the legislative session ends on Monday, doesn't it?
Well, maybe. It was supposed to end yesterday, and it didn't. So when I say supposed, it's very difficult to end a session. And this is something that, frankly, I think the media makes a bigger deal about than it is. There's a lot of bills to attend the last day of any session. And if those bills are important to somebody, and some of them are always important to me and my constituents, I'm willing to stay as long as it takes to pass them, or to kill them, whatever the case may be. A lot of work. The end of the session is actually extremely productive, much more productive than earlier on.
That end-of-life choice bill, though, is probably the most important bill of the whole session. It would be really tragedy if that were put off until next year. As I hope that it will get to the governor's desk and be signed before the end.
Yes, well, my brother is in the Senate, and he's very active on this bill, as you know. And I had dinner with him, I think that was Wednesday night, and I think they had gotten it through what we call second reading. So I think it's actually passed. And as we speak, I think it's probably at the governor's desk.
Well, that's really good news. I did an interview with Peter Schumlin before he was first elected governor, and he, at that time, supported the bill, so I'm confident that he will sign it.
Now, the member from Burlington, Representative Wright, moves to amend the bill, Wisconsin, based on
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, having just walked in from the Transportation Committee, so, Mr. Speaker, this is a pretty basic, though big, but basic amendment, which is to send this bill to a referendum vote on the entire state of Vermont in November 2015. Mr. Speaker, last night we heard on the House floor speeches from the cross-party lines, which were emotional, passionate, and at times riveting. And clearly this bill evokes a lot of emotion, understandably. We're talking, everybody in this room has a story, not everybody there, but many did, about someone that has died in their family or in their life. And many times we've had a very uncomfortable death, and it's not become easy to deal with. But Mr. Speaker, we have a process in Whelan that some people don't even know about. I've had representatives come to me and say, are we able to do this? Actually, we are. We rarely do it. The last referendum that the legislature put on the ballot was 1977, dealing with the lottery. We have done maybe 30 or so over the history of the state of Vermont. We are able to do it. Citizens can't do it. The citizens cannot be binding on the legislature. Legislature, we're in a position now where we got a vote last night, and we know that it's going to pass today by probably a similar margin as for the last night. It may change by a few votes, but it's going to pass by somewhere around 20 votes. And we're going to have about 40% or so of the House that is going to be very opposed to this, and somewhere around 60% that are going to support it. Where then it is going to go off to a room down the hall to face a very uncertain future. And frankly, what for supporters of the bill, I think it ought to be a great concern is to think that we're going to pass this, it's going to get over to the body, the next body, the junior body. And who knows what they're going to do with it. And really it's going to boil down to perhaps one person might make the decision of whether the bill that the majority wants passed, whether it goes back to the bill the Senate passed over here, or whether it just flat out dies. So I would say to the supporters of this, you know, think carefully if you vote not to support this. You may be better off with this. And maybe, just maybe, this is the time that we actually do send a vote to the month. First time in 35 years, I think it should be done rarely. But maybe it's time that the debate that we had on the House floor last night, which I think most people would think, kind of characterize that as a good debate. They were long, but they're passionate speeches, and respectful speeches. And I think that maybe it's time that we do that across the state of Vermont, from neighborhood to neighborhood. And we finally hear what Vermonters do think. I mean, on this issue, we were told, I heard, and I know we all did for a long time, that there was a poll by proponents that said the vast majority of Vermonters want this bill. They want the border style bill. Now, more recently, the opponents have come up with their own poll that says the opposite. We've also heard members on the floor that have stated that they're voting the way their constituents want them to vote. But we're all guessing at that. Nobody really knows what their constituents want for sure. We're all at a little bit of guesswork by all of us. So, Mr. Speaker, again, I don't think we should do this very often, but I think after 35 years, maybe this one is time. Maybe it's time for us to actually hear what Vermonters think about this bill. We did in Massachusetts last year. It was thought to be going one way, and it ended up that people were surprised in Massachusetts that it went the other way by a narrow margin. But, so, I would say, again, to the proponents, I said, to the opponents of the bill, I would say, if you want to put your homes on the one or two people down the hall, you may win that way also, but the bill's coming back. I mean, it's not going to die there either. It's going to come back to us next year or the next session or whatever. So I would think that maybe we all have to think about sending this to the voters once and for all and letting them tell us what they want us to do. Now, again, I want to wait for this. This can't be binding. But I think the legislature will certainly heed what the voters say, I would think. So, having said that, Mr. Speaker, I think I've said enough, and I would urge the body to support this, consider supporting it, and Mr. Speaker, I would ask that when the vote is taken, that we take it by roll.
Member for Burlington is requesting roll call. Member sustained. Member sustained, when the vote is taken, it should be by roll. The question is, shall the bill be amended as offered by Member from Middlebury from Burlington? Member from Essex.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. We heard from the member from Burlington this morning and House Judiciary, and we discussed a little bit about how our work is our work, and we don't condition our work in this House on what the Senate might or might not do, nor do we condition our work on what the executive branch might or might not do. Beyond that, last night, we had a very strong vote in this body not to put this bill aside. We voted 90 to 51 to debate this bill and to take a vote. The member from Burlington's amendment is a strike-all amendment. It takes everything that we have done up to this point off the table and puts it into an advisory vote to the public, not binding. We voted 7-4-0 to find this amendment unfriendly, and we urge your support.
Member from Putnam.
I want to thank the member from Burlington for reminding us that we never know what's going to happen with a bill being sent over to the Senate. This bill may wind up in a way he might not like to see, but I think he made a good point. We just don't know what happens over in every body. In regards to sending this out to voters, though, I believe we did just that last November. This was a big issue in the governor's race. It was an issue in my race. It was an issue in many Senate and House races, and I think we have seen the results of that referendum on this and many other issues. I don't believe we should dispel all the work that's been done here. We have been listening to our constituents. The voters have spoken, and that's what we're acting on right now.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, just comment on a couple of things. Mr. Speaker, this is not just like any old bill. I'm sorry. It just isn't. It's bigger than most bills. Any old bill wouldn't have the debate that we had on the floor last night. Hours and hours of debate. Incredible passionate speeches. This is not like any old bill that we have. There's 1,000 bills out there. And we know that this kind of process is different than most any other bill. The process that was in the Senate, I think I'm not supposed to say that word, but I did, was a torturous one, in fact, Mr. Speaker. So I think to say that, hey, this is what happens with every bill, and this is what goes on in the Senate, I don't think that's the same thing with this one. And in regard to, we voted on this last November. No, we didn't. And to suggest that this was the theme of the campaign, the governor's race, it was not, in my opinion. And in fact, if you go back and look at other elections in the past, Mr. Speaker, you could find races where former Governor Douglas won, despite having a position not on this bill, perhaps, but on other bills that Vermont has done differently on Vermont Yankee, for example, and other things. So to say that because the governor won, that the voters have voted, that that means they want war gun style, that would be the position of the suicide bill. I think that is erroneous. So again, Mr. Speaker, we can't pretend that we've heard the voters on this bill. We've heard ruling polls that are exactly opposite. We have members who think their voters think one thing, but we don't know for sure. And I think this is an opportunity with a bill that is very different from all other bills out there. For once in 35 years, for us to say to voters and people of Vermont, it's time for us to hear from you. Thank you.
Part of the progressive movement, in fact. Initially, West in particular was used to advance many causes that I personally support, but like a lot of machinations of elections, big money plays a big role. And I think while I understand where the proposer of the amendment is coming from, I think that we do not need to subject the voters to a barrage of yeses and no, campaign ads and mailings and all of the other tools of the trade. We have a representative democracy for a reason. Our constituents are more than comfortable speaking speaking up and telling us how they feel. And for that reason, I do not think this step is necessary, and I will be voting no. Thank you.
Shall the amendment is offered by the member of Montpelier?
Permission to speak for class. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, always when someone is opposed to a bill, opposed to something for the voters, and money being spent, they don't want money spent, it's going to be spent on a position that they don't want advocating for. I mean, I get that, but voters get inundated with stuff from us, they get stuff from all over the place. And there's money, big money spent on plenty of stuff. We are going to have a proposal on the House floor in a few days, which is going to propose that super PAC contributors can't get more than $5,000 to the super PAC. So I'm guessing going to this House, that 80% of good chance of passing. So that may not exist in the future anyway. But I'm not afraid of having a vigorous debate with both sides being able to put out ads, etc., or whatever. Because it happens on every other issue we take up. So to suggest that we shouldn't do it because somebody's going to spend the money, believe me, both sides will spend money.
Shall the amendment is offered by the member of Burlington? You ready for the question? If so, the clerk shall commence to call the roll.
The bill providing end-of-life choices was passed by the Vermont State Senate on February 14, albeit in a watered-down form. It then went to the House, where on Tuesday, April 1st, it was taken up and debated until 11 p.m. in the evening. Again, it was the debate continued on May 1st, MayDay. While the demonstrators were forming outside the Statehouse, the legislature continued debating all through the lunch hour, which prevented them from coming out and speaking to the demonstrators, which they have traditionally done in past years. I support this bill. It is a very important bill. I support it in its original form to allow mentally competent, terminally ill patient to request and a doctor to legally prescribe medication which a patient can self-administer to control the time and manner of their inevitable death. And I hope our legislatures in both the House and Senate will support it too and restore the full benefit of the original bill. Now, at the end of the day, on May 1st, the House did essentially restore the bill by a vote of about 80 to 60. Overwhelmingly, they were in support of it. However, the bill passed by the Senate was a very watered-down version, and now the two bills must be compromised before they can go to the governor. Many terminal cancer patients, our loved ones, suffer unbearable pain which cannot be alleviated with drugs at the end of their lives. It is wrong that they should be tortured in this way, when death is inevitable anyway. They should be given the option to end their lives in a dignified way. Oregon has given the citizens this option for the past 15 years without any problems. And Switzerland goes even further by eliminating the 6-month prognosis requirement and thereby making the option available to people facing a slow and debilitating death from ALS or Alzheimer's disease. Unnecessary so-called safeguards, which force dying people to jump through innumerable hoops, should not be included. This was, I sat through the entire Senate debate, and this was one of the problems in the Senate. People objected to these safeguards, and the bill would have passed in its original form, I believe, if there had not been so many so-called safeguards introduced by presumed supporters of the bill. So I would like to compromise a little on the safeguards and preserve the essential heart of the bill, which is to allow a dying patient to choose the time and method of their death. I want to thank the people at Patient Choices Vermont for advocating for this bill, and I encourage everyone to visit their website at www.patientchoices.org for more information. Thank you. we remained in the legislative chamber for over an hour, and then we went back outside to see how the demonstration was going in front of the building. And there were different activities going on. Free meals were being served, but there was also a puppet show. One of the best things on May Day was the puppet show, I thought. So we recorded the full show in the puppet theater. They were talking about 5 principles of human rights: universality, equity, transparency, and accountability, and participation. We're going to show you the puppet show in a minute. But Anjou, what did you think of the puppet show?
Oh, the puppet show is great. You know, this was the focal point of what it kind of expressed exactly what was the point of May Day 2013, and it was, you know, very colorful. And I noticed they had some very large bread and puppet theaters earlier, so it was a very kind of fun thing to do. It was written for children, so it was rather simplistic, but it did summarize the 5 points they wanted to make. I really enjoyed the puppet show. I thought it was great.
Yeah, I thought it got the message across very clearly. All right, let's watch the puppet show now.
Welcome, everybody! Are there people out there?
Yellow, orange, 10. They're waiting for us to start.
Okay. Hey, everybody, how you doing?
Can't hear you.
Thanks for coming to hang out with us today. My name is Reed.
Hi, Reed.
Hi, Reed. Hi, Sharon. For this important bill. Thank you very much. Great time.
Well, I'm here because my parents said it was really important for me to see how people come together and help each other.
Me too, and I also came to enjoy the music and the food and the activities that are going on. Have all of you had a chance to visit the different booths? No. Yeah? Yes. Some of them.
Hey, did you get a chance to march in the rally earlier?
Yeah.
I sure did. It was so much fun watching all those people march down the street with their signs and music. What was your favorite part?
I love the music and the songs. I wish there was a way I could learn them better.
I have an idea. We could ask our friend Erica to help us teach us some songs. Will all of you help us in learning the songs?
Woo, Erica!
Woo! Come on, help us get Erica.
Two volunteers. Who wants to hold the poster? Awesome. Excellent. Come on up. Some clapping, so you might want to get your hands ready. And I wrote out the words, if you can read the words, and if not, we'll sing it a bunch of times. It goes like this. I want to walk a mile in your shoes. I want to walk a mile in your shoes. I want to know what you think and what you feel, so I really want to walk a mile in your shoes. I want to walk, sing with me, a mile in your shoes. I want to walk a mile in your shoes. I want to walk what you feel, so I really want to walk again. A mile in your shoes, I want to walk a mile in your shoes. I want to walk a mile in your shoes. I want to know what you're thinking, what you're feeling, so I really want to walk a mile in your shoes. I want to walk. Come on, everybody! A mile in your shoes. I want to walk a mile in your shoes. I want to know what you're thinking, what you're feeling, so I really want to walk a mile in your shoes. I want to walk a mile in your shoes. I want to walk a mile in your shoes. I want to know what you're thinking, what you're feeling, so I really want to walk a mile in your shoes. Woo!
Yeah! All right. So speaking of the march, what does it mean when people come together and march in the streets?
People are coming together because a lot of us are dealing with the same things. Like coming together is to change things for the better.
Have any of you ever needed help before? Have you ever asked for help from a parent or a teacher? We come together because it's better to do things together than to do them alone.
I know that me and some of my friends need help sometimes. I know some of my friends have a hard time paying attention to school because they're hungry.
Well, Sharon, My family sometimes struggles too. Last year, we had to move, but we didn't know where we were going to go. Luckily, the homeless shelter took us in until we found a place.
I'm happy you found a place. Wouldn't it be nice if we could all help all people? All of us need to be able to eat, have a home to sleep in, go to school, and be able to see a doctor and get better when we're sick.
I get it now. So we're here today to show that we care about all people, that we care about our planet, and that we want to help and make a difference.
That's right. We're helping our families, friends, neighbors, and community, and our planet. Right now, lots of us and our families are having trouble getting what we need. But it doesn't have to be this way. That's the reason all these people are here today.
Well, I'm just a kid. How do I help?
Let's see. Just because we're kids doesn't mean that we don't have a voice. We can tell people that what we need, share our stories and all of our struggles, make friends, and ask that people join us to make things better.
I heard that the way that put people first does it is to have a guiding principle of human rights.
Human rights? Principles? What do you mean? Like the principal people who run our schools?
No, not like the principle at school, but like guiding principles, like for the habits of hearts and minds on how to treat other people and things like that.
Kind of like rules?
Well, kind of, but not really. It's more like a guide, a way to help us see things in a different way, to support all our human rights so we can live a happy life. We all have human rights.
Me too?
Yes, you too. So what are these principles? Well, there are 5 of them. The first one is universality. Which means everyone is in and nobody is left out. Can all of you say universality?
Universality! Oh, I understand that one.
Oh, it's like a
Like
big salad.
yesterday, I was at recess playing, and one of my classmates wanted to play the game with us. Some of my classmates didn't want a girl playing, but I said she had the right to play too.
That's right, Sharon, and you did the right thing. Nobody likes to be left out. We want everybody to be able to play, have food, and have a home. All those things. Everybody in and nobody out. Can you help me remember this? Repeat after me. Everybody in, nobody out.
Cool, I'm learning a lot. This is great.
Bummer to be nobody though.
The next principle is equity. Can you say it? Equity.
Equity! What does that mean? It means money in the
My
bank,
dad
baby.
told me it's when people get what they need. It's also about giving what they can. It's not the same thing as fair, but some people think of it like that.
What do you mean it's not like fair?
Well, fair
like
is
guilt
more like when
tax.
everybody gets the same. So if I had a pizza, everybody gets one piece, no matter how old they are or how hungry they are. Equity is everyone gets what they need. So if I'm bigger than my little sister, I might need more than she does. So we both get what we need. But it might not be the same.
Oh, I get it. How does that work?
Still a man's world, even in this.
Well, I one time went with my friend to a bake sale. The sign said I could donate whatever I could. So I had $1 to give. But the person behind me had $3 to give. So we gave what we had, but got what we needed.
I love bake sales, don't you? Yes! It would be nice if everyone was able to do what they can and get what they need. Then maybe we wouldn't all fight so much. So tell me, what's number 3? I can't wait to hear the next one.
Transparency is the next principle. Can you all say transparency?
Transparency! I'm a parent, you're a parent.
Transparency in these terms is about being able to understand stuff. Sometimes people, especially adults, say and do things that I can't understand. If I don't understand something, how am I supposed to know what to do?
Yeah, like in my math class. I'm so confused there.
Yeah, sort of like your math class. As one of our principals, we ask that people who are making decisions for us make it transparent and very clear, so we can all understand what is being said.
That makes so much sense. I always wish I understood things, but if people made it easier to understand, then maybe I would. That sounds great to work on. Maybe I can ask my teacher to do some of that.
Sharon, you're so funny. So the fourth principle is accountability. Can you all say accountability?
Accountability! Oh, I know one accountant my mom has a tax fund. They deal with money, right?
No, Sharon. Actually, the principle is accountability.
Oh,
The ability to be held accountable.
Well, my brother tells me I'm never accountable for my actions. That's because he's older and he always gets caught when he does something and he's held accountable for his actions. Accountability is holding someone responsible for their actions. It also means that if you do something to or for someone, you should be accountable, meaning that they should be able to tell whether you're doing good or bad.
Like when I have to do my chores, my parents hold me accountable to clean my room and to clean it in the way they ask me to.
Yeah, that's exactly what I mean. Sometimes it's hard to be held accountable, but I think it's good, and it helps build good friends. It also makes sure that we're doing what is good for those I'm doing it for.
Well, it's time for the last principle. Are you ready?
Last principle.
The last one is participation. Can you say participation?
Participation.
I know what participation is. That's when we all get the opportunity to join in and do something. That means we get to see the puppet show, and eat great food, and get to be part of the decisions that are being made about us.
Great job, Sharon! That's right. Participation is when we get to be part of things and decisions that are about us. We call this not about us without us. But everybody say, not about us without us.
Not about us without us.
This means that if decisions are being made about us or things we have to do, we should be able to be part of the talk and be able to give our input.
This is a great idea. I feel like because we're kids, nobody cares about what we have to say. No one listens. But I don't remember being part of any decision being made. Sort of like the talk about bringing tar sands into Vermont.
What's that?
Well, all I know is that somebody, I'm not sure who's talking about building a tube in our grounds that will carry yucky stuff through our communities and will be harming and destroying our beautiful lives.
Who told them they could do that? Nobody asked me.
Me neither. And I want to ask about modern things that matter to us or affect us. That's not cool.
Well, the Put People First movement is trying to change all that.
How are they going to do that?
Well, first of all, this is a huge event. Instead of it just being about those people in the building behind us, with all the gold top and adults, they want us to be part of the movement too. They want it to be a family-friendly movement, so everyone can learn and help.
Oh, that's why they have the youth tent too, right? I think they heard they have some stuff at other tents too, because we're part of this too, aren't we?
That's right. That's right, Sharon. So everyone, do we remember the 5 principles?
Was I supposed to? I forgot them already. Sorry.
Don't worry about it. Let's go over them again. First, universality.
Universality.
Everybody in, nobody out.
Everybody in, nobody out.
Second is equity. Everyone gives what they can and gets what they need. Can you say equity?
Equity.
Third is transparency. parenting.
Here's looking right through you.
Good job. Everyone can understand what's going on. Fourth is accountability. People are responsible to the people they ask to do something. And lastly, participation. Participation. Good job. Everybody gets the chance to participate as best they can. Just like this great audience. Now that we know the principles, what are we going to do with them?
We can learn about them and practice them with our friends, family, and community. I heard that they also have a coloring book at the arts and crafts table with the principles for us to take home and remember if we want. Did you get an arts and crafts book?
No.
You're going to go...
Stand with us and
stand up. Put
people first. Put people first. Put people first. Put people first. Put people first.
After the puppet show was over, it was getting too long toward 3 o'clock, and the people were starting to go home. But there was a separate demonstration in front on Main Street, in front of the building, opposing Vermont Yankee and asking that Vermont Yankee be closed. That was rather interesting. There was an accordion player and singers, and we're going to show you some of the footage there. I campaigned with Peter Shumlin 3 years ago in his campaign for governor to close Vermont Yankee, and I'm hoping that it will close. And I was really pleased to see people out demonstrating with signs on MayDay. What did you think, Anjou?
Oh, you know, that was the best part of the day. The music was lovely. There was a guitarist at the very end singing some Woody Guthrie music. But a lot of the people passing as they left Montpelier were actually waving to this group in support of them. You didn't see that with the camera angle, but they were getting a lot of notice from the traffic passing by and support.
All right, let's watch some of our video of the demonstration.
Or Brian, you can take one of theirs. Okay? It's up to you.
Or Andy could play us a song.
When we learned all of this one is Jeroloman. I was thinking out the most important chord. The one where he goes, nobody living.
Shut them down.
What were you playing? That was pretty.
Kind of like face meat. It's a klezmer song.
Oh, it was beautiful.
We had to catch them up.
So that concludes MayDay 2013 in Montpelier, Vermont. In future shows, we'd like to follow up with some of the people who attended and see how they're faring with their endeavors for human rights.
Thank you, Anjou. This is Anjou's first time as co-hosting Vermont Today. She's going to be producing her own show called Burlington Today, so you can watch that, look for that on TV also. But we want to thank all our listeners for tuning in today to Vermont Today, and we look forward to seeing you again next month. Thank you.
Thank you.